Welcome back to Living 808. Time for some straight talk, and our topic today is mandating aloha. We bring into the conversation Risa Ndwina from Ho'oko LLC, and let's get right into it and talk about this concept of mandating aloha and why we should hold the space for it.
The past year and a half, or almost 2 years, has brought about unprecedented change with the coronavirus, and has impacted us in far-reaching ways. It continues to impact us. With these changes, there has come this idea of vaccination, to vax or not to vax. And while the focus of today's is not really going to be about choice or our civil liberties or whether or not we should, the idea kind of moves us to talking about mandating aloha because there has been so much controversy around that spring up. And what we're seeing, I in particular am seeing with my client families and patients, just this real intense a buildup of dissension and distrust and judgment and hate going on as a result of differing views on that. And what that's done is to promote this move away from our individual and cultural and societal values that once really regarded practice this idea of aloha. And so many people have moved towards re-envisioning what that means for their own lives as well as their own businesses, and have adopted this phrase mandating aloha. For us, that means really going back to our roots, really considering where we are from, what makes us Hawaii, what makes us special. And part of that is the idea of aloha, practicing that, both Kanaka and Kama'aina alike, really looking at accepting people for their differences. This is, after all, the melting pot. Hawaii is the melting pot, and we are unique because we have always accepted differences in people. So mandating aloha allows us to hold space for accepting differences even during this difficult time.
Well, what then do we do when we're not seeing the aloha and handle situations where people are trying to push their own beliefs and their opinion and agenda onto others?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Tanya. So first, I think foremost, right, is that knowing that everyone is really entitled to their own opinions, right? And this is really the idea of choice, and that everyone has this as a right, to have a choice, to have an opinion on something. Second of all, you want to carry maybe the belief too that people around us are not the enemy. They are human beings just like us, and they're going to hold fast to their opinions and their beliefs just like we do for our own as well too. And the idea is that really that we are allowed and they are allowed to do that. Everyone itself has different stressors or worries that they carry, and we just want to be careful that we don't come to this place where we're perpetuating hate, anger, and volatility, especially with everything that's going on. And sometimes there's situations too where we have differences with people that we love that are very close to us as well too. And sometimes the best outcome of that is just to come to a conclusion that both of you or both of us agree to disagree on a topic or an area.
What then if we don't keep in mind and practice this so-called mandate of aloha?
I think the biggest drawback to that is that, the Hawaii that we once knew will no longer be. And that includes our ohana and the way that we interact with each other in society, our cultural values. There will be a huge shift in that, as we have already seen. And because of that, we'll no longer feel the same presence that we did that existed or previously existed when those of us who were born and raised in Hawaii, for example, grew up in a time that really promoted that. And that's the fear, right? Is that this is fast becoming a place that is no longer what we once loved and knew. And so that would be the biggest detriment to this, is we lose that sense of what makes us unique.
Let's talk about practicing the mandate of aloha and how we should go about doing that.
So, Tanya, one of the key things to know is, first of all, you want to let go of your own need to be right and really embracing this idea of choice, as I said earlier, and allow others to be themselves with their opinions and thoughts, whether it's on race, gender, sexuality, or other contextual factors that's going on. And the main thing is, I think, is really not forcing anything on anyone. Instead, some things that are easy to do is maybe share information instead, exchange ideas, offer some education on some things that you find or you discover. But you want to be careful, though, not to cross that line to where you're giving out unsolicited advice or unsolicited info to other people. When you're in situations or circumstances or surroundings, be careful too that you want to maybe read the room as well too, wherever you're at, and see, is it appropriate time to share or not? And the main thing overall, Tanya, is you don't want to ever force your opinions onto others.
All right, if someone has questions about this and they'd like to contact your office, where can they go?
they can phone us at 808-375-7712 or go online to www.hookollc.com.
All right. As always, a pleasure to have you on Living 808 to get some straight talk. We will see you next time here.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.